This week on Across America from Los Angeles, Shaofang, Chinese Consul-General in Los Angeles, held a lunch party for Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa before the mayor's China visit in December. From New York, NASDAQ market site welcomes Sun Guoxiang on his appointment as the new Chinese Consul-General in New York. Editorial special. The retirement of US Congressman Barney Frank has been the focus of the news media this week. But columnist Chen Weihua suggests the media should pay more attention to Frank's political views, such as military spending cuts.
In order to congratulate Sun Guoxiang on his appointment as the Chinese Consul-General in New York, today NASDAQ market site welcomed Ambassador Sun at Times Square. Vice Chairman of NASDAQ OMX Group Sandy Frucher gave welcome remarks and also encouraged more Chinese companies to go public in the United States.
The world a better place. And the work that the Consul General plays here is a critical role in introducing Chinese companies and American companies to China. So it is with great pride, great pleasure, and great honor to welcome you here, Mr. Consul General.
Ambassador Sun also delivered a speech expressing his hope on more economic and cultural exchanges between China and the United States in the coming years.
谢纳斯达克多年来为促进中美两国人民之间，特别是经贸领域之间的合作所发挥的这个积极的作用。我将像我的前任一样，跟我们这里纳斯达克的同事们保持密切合作，为不断的来促进和推进中美两国人民之间的交往，两国经贸界的。
And he will do very, very well here in introducing Chinese companies to the United States and introducing American companies to China.
Representatives from both sides joined Ambassador Sun as well to officially ring the opening bell at NASDAQ. Yuhan Liu, China Daily, New York.
Chinese Consulate-General Ambassador Shaofang held a lunch party for Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa November 29th at his residence before the mayor's China visit next month. Villaraigosa expressed his appreciation for Chiu's help in preparing his China visit. He recalled his last visit to China in 2006. He was able to set up a tourism representative office in China that resulted in a 78% increase of Chinese tourists to Los Angeles. Early next month, Villaraigosa will visit Beijing, Shanghai, and Chengdu. He said trade, tourism, and friendship is his purpose.
We're excited about more than $4 billion in investment, about 40,000 jobs.
China Daily Los Angeles Bureau Wang Jun reports.
US Congressman Barney Frank has been the focus of news media this week for his decision not to run for the 2012 re-election after serving in the House of Representatives for 30 years. But for me, Barney Frank really drew my attention 2 weeks ago when he talked passionately and humorously about the need for the US to cut its monstrous military spending. The 71-year-old Massachusetts congressman argued that the U.S. does not need and could not afford the current high-level military spending, while the U.S. capacity to address the quality of life and maintains confidence of American people in its governance has been restrained. The American public has been mixed over the military spending cut. A CNN poll released in August revealed only 47% would like the major cuts, while 53% said no to such cuts. Barney Frank believed the U.S. has been overspending on its military. He said NATO was set up by Harry Truman to protect the poor and weak nations of Europe from the Soviet Union. Now the two reasons no longer exist, but American manpower and money is still there. He also ridiculed the fact that the U.S. continues to keep the triad today for defeating the Soviet Union in the thermonuclear war. He argued cutting any one of the three, basically intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear submarine, and the strategic air command, would save American taxpayers billions of dollars. He triggered laughter among the audience by pointing out that the strongest air force in the world is the US Air Force, but the second strongest Air Force in the world is actually the US Navy. Unlike some US politicians who like to play up China's threat in the South China Sea, Barney Frank believed Americans should not worry about China's retrofitted first aircraft carrier. He did not believe China will shut down sea lanes, as some have assumed, since Chinese economy prospers so much from the trade on that route. He said, and I quote, "The strategic purpose we are told is that we have to contain China, and I think we overdo that," unquote. Barney Frank was troubled by the notion of a U.S. return to East Asia because it suggests a significant increase when the U.S. hasn't actually been absent. He thought the current presence is at least as much as the U.S. needs, maybe a little bit more. When asked about the cyber attacks from China and Russia, his answer was full of wisdom as usual. "Guess who spied on them?" he asked. "The CIA is not a tourism bureau." Barney Frank said he could not think of a time in the last 30 years that the U.S. feels strained by a lack of military capacity. He believed that old threats talked about today should not scare Americans into a $650 billion defense spending. I have long been puzzled by the paranoia among some Americans about the constant threats from other nations and groups, while the U.S. maintains an unrivaled military capacity and military spending. That is probably why I found Barney Frank's words resonate so much with me. It's sad to see such a powerful voice to disappear from the US Congress. It's insane for any government to spend an unnecessary amount on military while the livelihoods of its people are overlooked.